Yes, a treat on a Thursday. There he is, TSN Hockey Insider Darren Dreger.
So about your Cards last week, I assume they lost?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I took a lot of heat for that.
Yeah, I would have taken a lot of heat.
I did. So I showered, I brushed my teeth, I combed my hair, I even put a suit on for you guys in this
very nice
final edition before Christmas. So
that's right.
Yeah, look at his Costanza hoodie.
That's Costanza sweater. Yeah,
someone's wearing their Christmas best, right?
I love it. That's
kind of wondering what you were wearing there. I couldn't really tell. We got the Senators here in Calgary tonight to play the Flames, and ordinarily the Senators aren't very good, so this is a must-win game. Well, you don't want to lose this one, but on the flip side now, it's the Senators, I think, Ryan, they're the hottest team in the league right now. It's
they've had the best number of anyone, and I think Ullmark has allowed 5 goals in his last 6 games combined. That's a tough task if he's in.
Yeah, individually and collectively, the Senators are rolling right now. We were wondering, have they turned that corner that we've been waiting for them to turn forever? Has it finally happened?
Well, that kind of feels like the kiss of death or doom for the Ottawa Senators to officially announce that they've turned the corner, but it looks like they have, right? And I think that's more credit to management and coaching for keeping things real tight. At times in recent history, it would get chaotic there. And, whether or not that was Pierre Dorian, the general manager at the time, I like DJ Smith. I think he's a terrific coach. But look, there was a lot going on around that organization. That was one of the first areas that Michael Landauer, new owner, and general manager Steve Stales wanted to clean up. Just make sure that the players have the creature comforts that you need to do your job in the National Hockey League, which now they have, and then take the chaos out of their day-to-day. Just let them focus on playing hockey. And again, if this is Stales, it's his job as architect to fill the holes if there are holes that are glaring or that they feel that there's an area that needs to be addressed. And I think for the most part, he did that. Like, goaltending was such a huge issue in Ottawa. Every night you didn't know what you were getting. The wildly inconsistent. Okay, well, at the draft, Stale swings for the fence and lands Linus Ullmark from the Boston Bruins. And then there's the uncertainty. Okay, well, this is a leap of faith here. And I don't think there was a wink, any of that, in terms of having a contract extension parked in a desk somewhere. I think they felt that they had to prove to Linus Ullmark that Ottawa was the best destination long-term for both his hockey future and his family. And then, look, it got a little shaky there too, didn't it? Like, Ullmark wasn't very good early on. But the one thing that I appreciate about any player, in this case, Linus, is he owned it. He came out, and it was getting to a point where you're already going, okay, let's not pull the Jack Campbell card here. It's not always your fault. The puck goes in the net. Sometimes that's the goalie's fault. Sometimes it's just the calamity of events that has happened before that. But he needed to settle, and he has. And he has been terrific. Their goaltending has been good. So maybe they have turned the corner. But I think that's also inflated the tires of those around. And the speculation around Brady Tkachuk was quickly wiped out by ownership and management and all of that. So collectively, I think that the players, most importantly, see a buy-in from coaching, from management, from ownership, that those guys that have been around there a long time maybe haven't seen for a while, if ever.
I don't want to take runs at guys, but like you talked about stability around the organization. The late Eugene Melnyk was known for sort of maybe some classic oversteering or over-involvement or just really a volatile front office where you'd have high-ranking executives get hired and disappear soon later. Like, what has that meant from, like, let's say Brady Tkachuk's perspective?
Yeah, look, I think one of the messages that was delivered to Brady when new ownership came in. And again, I'm going to lump all those guys together, Travis Green and Steve Stales, in this case, Michael Landauer. The messaging to Brady was, we see you as being the key piece of this operation moving forward. So in saying that, we're going to do everything within our power to build around you, right? Look, he's still a developing player, but what you see is on most nights a real competitive leader. Does he have some flaws, some wrinkles that need to be ironed out? Sure he does. Again, relatively young, but they believe in him. And that's why, ownership and management get so frustrated when these trade rumors surface, right? Like, who's planting this stuff? Because, hey, and look, if you're a general manager, you can call any other general manager you want. I mean, you can ask for Connor McDavid if you want. I mean, you're going to get a hard no, but you know, if you feel like that's doing your job. So undoubtedly the calls would come in to Steve Staios. But I think that by design, you know, they more recently came out swinging with the soft tampering allegation and all that against the New York Rangers to try and just dissuade reporters and others from wild speculation again. That's how they value Brady Tkachuk and their belief that he is going to shepherd them into the future of success. And that goes beyond Claude Giroux and all of the older pieces that they have. Those guys are the insurance and they're the experience to help in the here and now, but they're not the future.
It's, you know what, I feel kind of happy for them. I feel happy for Tkachuk because even at the time when he signed that long-term deal, and why would he sign in Ottawa? Why would you do that? But he did. And I don't know if he saw this coming, but we were kind of joking about it. The soft tampering. It's turned around the Ottawa Senators. It has not turned around the New York Rangers.
Right.
They continue to slide. 6th in the Metro, 5 of 6, and have 3 wins in their last 14, and then pulled the trigger. And I think it was last week, maybe or the week before, talking about Kakko. He's gone to Seattle for Will Borgen, a 3rd and a 6th.
Yeah.
Doesn't feel like great return for the 2nd overall from 2019, but it's a move. It's another move by Chris Drury. Your thoughts?
Well, you're right. It doesn't feel like a great return, with all due respect to Borgen, who, again, we don't know what his game is going to look like in a year or 2, 5 years from now, if he's still around. Just based on the reaction that I got from other club execs around the league when that deal went down, I would say that Chris Drury probably left something on the table.
Oh,
but you know, I say that, and I would say this too. Kaapo Kakko's name has been out there for a long time. That's not new. We're just kind of retreading an old tire here in the insider business, right? So, you know, that's kind of where we're at and where it brings us to now. And all I know is the teams that I talked to after the trade just said, geez, I mean, we didn't know that was going down. So that tells me that maybe Drury felt like this is the best he was going to get, and there's no search shopping it. Or, fellas, this might be more to the point. I don't have this directly from Francis. He's a hard SOB to deal with, Ron Francis of the Seattle Kraken. He does not play the media game in any way, shape, or form. And it wouldn't surprise me. I don't have knowledge of this, but it wouldn't surprise me if he's made a comment like, Chris, if I read about this on social media, the deal is off and you're not getting anything. Or if I get a call from another general manager or somebody else, or anybody in my group gets a heads up that you're shopping this deal, I'm pulling it off the table. Yeah, I mean, that happens a fair bit.
Sorry, I didn't need to step on you there, but
no.
That sounds like I get Ron Francis's take on this.
Yeah.
What the hell is Drury thinking? In my opinion, like you're like I'm looking at my phone. I'm like, I should call Conroy and go, is there no way you could have taken a stab at a 2nd overall pick?
Yeah.
Like, so it seems ridiculous.
I see 2 things happening here. One, the ceiling for Kaapo Kakko has been dramatically reduced in the eyes of hockey people. No one sees a star here anymore.
Borgen
I think
it was a 4th round pick. And
Ryan, I don't think that's true. I don't think that's true.
So what?
Yeah, I think what you're saying, and I'm not trying to put words in your mouth here, to this point, I can appreciate why you would feel like that.
Yeah.
But I think, and look, I'll throw the Montreal Canadiens out there. I know Kent Hughes tried to get something going with the Rangers in the summer, specific to Kakko. Now it makes sense. Jeff Gorton, who's the grand poobah of hockey in Montreal, was the guy that drafted him in New York. So you've got a little internal intelligence here. The belief around this kid is, for whatever reason, he wasn't comfortable in New York. And maybe that could be the coaching carousel. Maybe that's just, you know, I don't know, whatever the market was, but the belief is that this kid's going to pop offensively. And for whatever reason, this kid has been on my radar from watching him. And I think I said this to you guys a week or 2 ago. I watched him at the Men's World Championship where he played in that Finnish lineup as an 18-year-old. And I'm on this kid, he can't miss in the NHL. Now, bigger ice, but the way he protected the puck, you know, used his body, he was so confident I just he's going to be a tap-in top 6. Now, maybe that speaks to my lack of hockey IQ, but I'm like, whoa. But the feeling I get from the teams that were interested in him, this kid has got a lot more offense in him than we've seen to this point.
To me, it reeks of. Sorry, I'm jumping in front of you again, but it reeks of the of Sutter trading Phaneuf to the Leafs, where the rest of the league was like, "What? You just
how'd that happen?"
Well, and Kakko just went public with the quote that said, "It feels like I'm the young guy. It's easy for me to scratch, but I'm not." And I'm paraphrasing. But this feels like Nikita Zadorov in Calgary last year.
Yeah,
he just signed a monster 5-6 year deal with Boston. They got a third in 3 years and a fifth for him. But they needed to get that guy out of the room. He was poison in the well. And maybe this is Drury's way of saying, look, if you're going to come out and speak publicly against the owner and the GM, I'll take less. Get out of here.
Whoa. I guess it wasn't Drury. Drury's been too public with all this shit. So for him to turn around and go, you can't be public and complain to your kid.
You're going to be the squeaky wheel. You're out of here. Maybe that's
maybe
that's
Drury. Well, he sees himself as the guy that controls all that. You can't trade the GM.
I don't know. The way Drury's being portrayed to me, so you
think it's a total coincidence that happens within 48 hours of that comment? I don't think that's
saying it's a coincidence. I'm saying it's very hypocritical and short-sighted of Drury to go, I'm going to get rid of this kid. I have no idea. Let's call Conor and ask him. We'll get it behind the scenes, even to ease our own mind, because like Dregs is saying, he's a second overall pick that has hardly effing played, and you're dumping him for a defenseman that anyone and their dog could go get? It doesn't make sense to me. All because he says something? Maybe you should manage your house better, Drury, and guys wouldn't complain.
Yeah.
F that.
It didn't come directly from the Rangers, but the messaging post-trade was this had nothing to do with him spouting off.
Really?
But the fact that would be included in the synopsis of the deal without a guy like me asking that very question indicates that, and look, owners, it's their tickle trunk, right? The owner doesn't like what a player says. Maybe that does factor into a point, but what I know is this, and you don't have to be an insider or a fan of the New York Rangers, or covering this team at all to see what's becoming increasingly obvious. There's a lot of finger pointing going on around that organization. We would like to look at the owner because he's such an active guy internally, not publicly or externally. Chris Drury is general manager. He needs to be judged on what he's done to this roster and what he'll continue to do. But it feels like, to me, it dates back to the Trouba Kreider stuff coming out and the players going, no, we're not having this. I mean, you can trade anybody you want. You can try and apply pressure to anybody you want, but there is a human and a personal element to this. And so if there's any finger pointing, that finger pointing, in my opinion, is coming from within that room, but it's not finger pointing at player to player. It's finger pointing at Chris Drury. It's finger pointing at Peter Laviolette, who, an experienced coach, is challenged with trying to get this team back mentally on track. And it might be too far off the rails. It just might.
Sorry, with Laviolette, obviously you just said great coach, great career, great record, all this. Another coach that wears out his, not his welcome's the wrong word. He's got a shelf life too, right?
Yep.
And sometimes the squeeze, when you get close, the squeeze, you squeeze a little harder because you think, I'm going to squeeze this much more juice and we're going to beat the Florida Panthers and get to the Stanley Cup Finals. Is it possible that he should be taking a little more responsibility for what's going on? From here, I'm like, it's Drury and the owner, and they're a pain in the ass, and they've made a mess of things in the dressing room, and the guys are pissed off. But that's skipping past Laviolette.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's anybody associated with that organization who shouldn't be accepting some responsibility. Now, a lot of people can't do anything to change the in-game product. The head coach most definitely can. Right? Most definitely can. And what I heard from Kaapo was, and I'm just reading between the lines to just go back here a little bit, was a sense of frustration over maybe a lack of communication between coach and player. Right? So yeah, it's easy to sit the young guy, but Peter Laviolette, on a real short-term basis has benched Panarin for a shift or two. Like he's tried some in-game tactics that haven't haven't resulted in anything meaningful. I just think that they're managing this strictly as, like, I'll tell you what, you name any player on that roster, you name any player, and I guarantee you there's a trade rumor. I read something about Adam Fox yesterday.
Insane, yeah. Guys with
Hey,
no
well, like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
Like, come on. You know, like,
Yeah.
but, you know, instantly my experience tells me that can't be real. That can't be true. And then you look at some of the stuff that we know has gone on around the New York Rangers, and I mean, I can't discredit it either. So
you're going to trade Kakko for that, and I'm yes, anything could happen, because if the owners that's the thing. Anyway,
so what is Kakko? Like, this is what he's played 330 games. This is not a puppy anymore. He's played 6 seasons in the NHL. He's got less than 40 points his last 100 games. Yeah. He's got a career high that's not 20 goals. He's never had more than 40 points. Like, what's the probability he's just a third line winger? And you know what? He went high because he was a great 17, 18-year-old.
Yeah. Well,
don't you
but is that
for the Rangers before you trade him?
I'm suggesting maybe they do think that's the case. Otherwise, they're not accepting a depth defenseman in a third and a sixth.
Right. I wouldn't argue with that, though. Right. So again, now I'm going to go back when he was drafted, and it was at that same World Championship, and I happened to be walking down the street with Gorton, and I asked him about what he saw on the upside, and he thought best case scenario would be top 6, but they felt like the way that they were building, you know, and you got to be mindful of the fact that. And I'm trying to think of that draft in terms of the depth of that draft. Have a quick look for me and just spout out some of the names, because you do go year in and year out. And, you know, normally when you're drafting top 3, top 5, top 10, you're getting players that should be, can't miss. Doesn't mean they're all going to be stars. Right?
And there's a lot here that would classify as misses, whether it's their fault or just some bad luck. Jack Hughes goes 1, he's a stud. Kaapo goes 2. Kirby Dach at 3 is having an awful year with the Habs. And everyone thought Chicago was crazy. What are you doing giving this guy? At least I got a first, but he has not bounced back after the wrist injury.
No.
You got Alex Turcotte, 5th overall from the Kings. He's been
just kind of making it now. Yeah.
Owen Byram's in there, who still feels like more potential than actual product at this point. And then it's like Cousins, they'd probably want more in Buffalo. Mo Sider, good, maybe not great, but looks like a good pick at 6. That was way off the board. Broberg at 8. Oilers wouldn't even pay him top 4 money, but having a great year.
Boldy and Caulfield down the line a little bit, but
yeah. So I guess that's my point, though. So, you know, if Kakko can get it back, or I guess not back, if he could take that extra step, it even seems strange to say in development, because, you know, you play over 330 games, you should have a pretty good handle on him. But what if he's a 50, 60 point guy, and, you know, you've got a decent Seattle team, and he can drift between second and third line? I don't think that's a miss by a long shot. I love it. That's just the reality of his career.
Yeah. It's just that I think the days of us talking about him as a star, like,
no, I would agree with that. I don't think he's that.
And we can move on, because it doesn't need to be the Kakko hour. But looking at how did he never play any American League games? How did he not play? He was drafted, made the Rangers, and was an NHLer despite clearly him not being at an NHL level. How does he not play anywhere else?
Like Sam Bennett, Dean, doesn't it?
Because I wondered, is this a guy that because of waiver eligibility they couldn't send him? He never played anywhere else.
Yeah, it's a bit strange. But again, they must have saw enough of him, and that happens. You go through training camp, you come through the preseason, things are trending well. You know, you've got a goal here or there, using the body, and then all of a sudden, I don't know the kid. I don't know what his mental toughness is, and that sounds ridiculous to say that, but you know, sometimes you just got to chew through adversity and find a way, as we know. I mean, it's not going to be perfect every single year or through stretches, segments of 5 or 10 games. But this is the thing for me. I'm willing to give him the benefit of the doubt. I am. But a fresh start has to flip the page on this guy. Yeah. Otherwise, you know, maybe end of the year when things haven't worked out, if they don't work out in Seattle, we'll be having a different conversation. I want to throw another name in at you guys, because I'm going to be talking about him, I think. We'll see how the day unfolds on Insider Trading tonight. Trent Frederick of the Boston Bruins.
UFA this summer, right?
26 years old. And Boston finds himself in a bit of a pickle with this guy, right? You know, the Bruins are still trying to figure out, okay, what are we? You know, what direction are we going to go? they're going to need to know that by the 7th of March. You can't let a kid like that just flat out walk. 6'3", 220 pounds. He's got a little bit of bite to him. I wouldn't say he's tough, but he'll drop the flippers when he has to. He's got some physical presence. He's got some offensive upside. If I were a team looking for a forward, and there's so many of them, including the Calgary Flames, I'd be putting a big asterisk beside that kid's name, man.
I like him a lot.
Oh, because I don't think Boston wants to pay him, Boomer. I don't know what that number looks like. I just don't think they do. So this is what I love about Billy Guerin. I love that Billy Guerin goes into a trade offer and says, here's what I'm giving you. And it's multiple pieces. And you can tweak it a little bit, but he's not trying to rob you. He wants the player that he's offering on. So if I were a general manager looking for a center or a winger with upside, maybe it's a sign and trade if you're lucky enough to do that. At least you get them early enough. You've got a window of opportunity before July 1 to prove that you're the right fit for him and all of those things. I think this kid is going to be coveted. Now, he's a St. Louis kid, right? So chances are he'll end up playing for the Blues because that's how Doug Armstrong seems to get these guys. But he's a name I think we're going to be talking a fair bit about here in the weeks ahead.
Yeah, I like him, and we just saw Boston, and I can't really tell you that he stood out to me, but
no, that's fair.
But I do feel like there is some grit, that there's some gristle to his game because he's engaged. And just looking at those numbers, 18 goals last year, 17 the year before. Now, just top of my head, has he been playing power play minutes? Has he been playing top line stuff?
He's always all over the place.
Yeah, he's kind of felt like that third line guy.
Line before that, it's coming together. Yeah.
Another kid might need a fresh start. I'm not saying he doesn't like it in Boston, but if the Bruins aren't jonesing to lock this guy up, and they're not, they're sitting there going, okay, we're not ready to pay you yet, so we're going to weigh what the trade interest is versus what it might cost to extend you, and they're probably not making that call anytime soon.
Those guys get paid. Like, it's the Tanner Jeannot thing. Like, he didn't have a great year, but there's still 100% a lot of GMs like, that guy's a missing piece. You're 6'3", 220, you'll fight, and you can score 20. Like, I love you. Get here now.
You can't go like that. Yeah, there's going to be Sam Bennett, guys like that at the top of the food chain. Marner's probably going to extend in Toronto. Mikko Rantanen's probably going to stay in Colorado. You have to have that next tier. And absolutely, a kid like Frederick, he's going to get paid. It's just a question of, whether he's part of the long-term solution in Boston, because they're never going into a rebuild, I don't think. Or if somebody steps up with a trade of value, maybe they decide to cut bait and away you go.
Rhett, should we contact Conroy on that one too, or
might as well
kind of let that one show?
Oh, he would know about it. I'm sure.
I bet he would. Yeah, I bet he would. And so the Kakko trade goes down yesterday. Also, Alexander Carrier is traded to Montreal.
Yeah.
Carrier just signed in July a 3-year UFA deal, and before Christmas he's traded to Montreal. Hell of a pay cut too with the taxes. Gosh, going from Nashville to Montreal, it's just couldn't be. Yeah. Standings wise, it's kind of a saw off. But what is Barry Trotz? He's making some changes now. He gets Justin Barron back. He was a first round pick in 2020, so there's something there. But almost admission that some of that July work was not the best from Barry Trotz.
Not almost, 100%. Like, and look, he's wearing a wear it. He's wearing to take his blows. We're not going to beat him up any more than he's already beaten himself up in this process. I think he's looking at it, as you point out, getting a little bit less expensive, right? With Barron coming in there. They feel like they developed defensemen well in Nashville. And from Montreal's perspective, and there's more to come in Nashville, obviously, right? I mean, it feels like they're going to try and chip away and do deals like this. In Montreal, I guess it makes sense to me because you bring in Carrier, so there's some local interest that comes along with the Quebec guy coming back. They need the experience, and this reads to me like they're going to move one of their veteran defense, right? So that's Savard or Matheson. Yeah. And so you can't completely, throw Lane Hudson to the Wolves here, or some of the Reinbacher's coming, Logan Mailloux, Struble is there, Arbor Jacki is there. So I think that Kent Hughes just wanted to backfill, get a piece that they like. I mean, smallish defenseman, but Carey can play the game and give himself some flexibility in the weeks and months leading up to the trade deadline as the interest picks up and the time gets closer on either Savard or Matheson or both.
I don't even know that Alex Carey would have cracked the top 4 mistakes that Barry would acknowledge in the summer. Is this just moving deck chairs? Like, what are we doing here? Like, okay, you're wiggling and moving about, but the real issue is you brought in 3 guys at big money for long-term into their mid-30s, and it hasn't worked.
Yeah. That's the challenge, and those guys aren't going anywhere.
Do those guys want to go somewhere because it's gone? So do you know what I mean? Like, they just signed them, and I don't know if the contracts are movable, but do they want to go somewhere? Because none of those guys that signed there envisioned this.
No, and it doesn't sound like it. And I can't imagine that Trotz goes to those guys, Marchessault, Stamkos, Brady Shea, to say, it's not working out the way that any of us envisioned. If you want me to investigate other opportunity, I can do that. We don't get the sense that that's happened yet. And it feels like that's the only way it would happen. I just mentioned Montreal. If all of a sudden Jonathan Marchessault goes, I like Nashville. The taxes are great and all that stuff. And my family's happy here. But, if there's a chance for me to go back to Montreal, then I did. I mean, I'm just spitballing here, but I think that that's the only way that would happen.
Kids coming home, everybody home for Christmas, for starters, and for you. You strike me as maybe you're a beef guy. Maybe it's a roast instead of turkey on Christmas Day, but just walk me through.
Part of beef, Dregs.
Yeah, no. We got the proteins covered here. The only thing I don't do around Christmas is fish. No fish.
Yeah.
I'll have the traditional turkey, which my lovely wife, Holly, she can manage that. That's the traditional in the oven. You do all the nonsense. And then I got the smoker and the barbecue going. So we'll have brisket over here. And then we might do a tri-tip, something along those lines as well. So, nice. I'm in a full meat sweats in the Dreger house. Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, Boxing Day, and a little splash of this.
Yeah. That's right. That's right. I would expect no less. Dregs, you're the best, buddy. Thanks for coming in here a day early. Have a great holiday and a Christmas, and to you and yours.
Yeah, same to you guys. Happy holidays.
Awesome.
Go easy on the mistletoe. All right.
Yeah, there you go. Thanks, Dregs. There he is. TSN Hockey Insider, our Hockey Insider.
Hey guys, thanks for watching. Be sure to check out more of our content right here on the Flames Nation YouTube page. We had a bunch of great long-form interviews. You can check out some videos we've done as well outside of the studio. And of course, if you want more writing or merchandise stuff, flamesnation.ca or nationgear.ca. Appreciate you watching.